Hello everybody, MegaZardX here, back at it again to give y'all another very exciting video. And for today, I just want to honestly sit down and take the time out to discuss some future games that we know that are either in the works or scheduled to drop out within the year 2024 from Square Enix themselves though. Obviously, when you mention Square Enix, whether it be a Sony State of Play, it could be a Nintendo Direct or something like that, anytime you see that logo pop up, it just kind of makes you perk up out of your seat because you don't know exactly what you're going to get. You don't know if you're going to get the next biggest smash hit, like with a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth related announcement though, or you might get something a little bit weird such as, I don't know, Forspoken, where it kind of rubbed a lot of people off the wrong way. So it's a very mixed bag whether or not you're going to get something really hype or something down low though. But at least within this list I kind of came up with today, there's a lot of games that they're working on right now, stuff that could be coming out in 2024 or stuff either beyond or could be right around the corner. We just have a TBA announcement on it though, that I am really genuinely looking forward to. So in today's video I just want to kind of go through the stuff that we know that is in the works, and I just want to go ahead and just talk about these games though. But if you hadn't already done so, make sure you're going to hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. All right, so starting off with the first game on my list, I had none other than Phone Stars. Now, this is a game that technically came out a few days ago, so this is one of the new hot releases for Square Enix though, but whether or not how hot it actually is, that's going to be yet to be seen, because, when first looking at this game, you can obviously tell that this was like a kind of a skin of Splatoon, like you're just running around kind of shooting phone, kind of traversing around, shooting up people. It's kind of like Square Enix take on Splatoon, but with their own spin up on it though. So instantly that kind of got some people kind of feeling a little bit mixed. We're not, was it going to be good? What is it going to be bad? We're going to have all these different microtransactions and stuff up in it though, because obviously you going through Splatoon, that's not necessarily the case though. But this game has managed to go out in open beta a couple of different times leading up to the launch. And me myself, I hadn't actually had the time to sit down and watch it though, but by the time this video comes out, I've probably been watching some people playing through some streams and stuff of the game though. So whether or not this game is going to be a smashing hit that Square Enix is going to be, expecting to do, and will there be any kind of longevity to this series kind of moving on in the future in terms of this, ongoing support, that's going to be yet to be seen though. But we'll just have to wait and play this one out by ear, whether or not, has the audience managed to gravitate and, just managed to stick with this game and cause Square Enix to say, let's go ahead and keep supporting this, or would this be like one of those games where they put it out, it stays on the market for a little bit of time, and then they're like, okay, this ain't really making us the money that we kind of expected to, and then they're just going to go ahead and drop it off of them. Just have to wait and see on that one. All right, now in terms of everything I have on this list, this is going to definitely be the biggest major hitter for this year, and could very well be a lot of people's games of the year. And yes, I'm talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That is scheduled to come out on February the 29th. Weirdly enough, they're putting that out on the leap year out of all days this year though. But nonetheless though, that's probably the most hype game that's going to come out in February in general, and February is already stacked as it is already though. But with that game, we've been knowing about it for at least a few years. Obviously, this is the second game in what's going to be basically a trilogy of this Final Fantasy VII remake series though. So this is only the second iteration. Obviously, we're leaving Midgar, going out and exploring the open world. From all the different reports and stuff we've been getting from, news analysts as well as other reporters, we know that the game story is going to be roughly about 40 hours in terms of the main overall. If you just to do just nothing but main missions, it's going to take you about 40 hours to get through this game. However, if you want to do every single thing that's offered up in here, all the side quests and stuff, it's going to be up to 100 hours or so. And luckily, when you're going through this game, there's not going to be those weird, annoying moments where it's like, oh, if you progress this far in the story, oh, it's going to lock you out of these side quests. No, you can basically do them at any given point once you have access to it. So thankfully, that's not the case though. But regardless though, there's going to be a lot of stuff to do up in this game in general though. And I'm very curious, obviously, with the remake series and the way how it's been going. It's not necessarily a one-to-one concerning the fact that how, they've been doing some little things with these things called fates and stuff. And they've been kind of tweaking the story a little bit, like how we managed to see Sephiroth in the first part of that story in Midgar, where honestly, he never actually showed up in Midgar, at least not that early within the original Final Fantasy series. In the Final Fantasy VII series though, But the fact that, you know, they have an emphasis on him, these weird things with Fates, they dropped out Crisis Core shortly before this game managed to come out, so there's gonna be some, you know, incorporation with Zack in the story, as well as they'll also release an Advent Children, you know, almost like a week and a half early within movie theaters. So I feel like there's gonna be some ties even with that movie though, as well within this game though. So there's a lot of things shaping up for this game. Obviously, you're gonna have a great fun time playing as Yuffie, also Red 13, along with the classics such as your Aerith, Tifa, Cloud, Barrett, you know, the whole gang of characters, even Sid showing up in the game finally though. So it's gonna be a really good fun time in this game. And I would say out of every Square Enix game that's coming out this year, this is definitely the one I anticipating the most. While we're on the Final Fantasy hype train right here, you know what? There's also some more DLC coming out for Final Fantasy 16. Yes, we did manage to have that game drop out, you know, last year during the summertime, and then we already had Echoes of the Fallen, you know, that part of the DLC, the first half. That is already, you know, has came and went. We got that piece though. But the Rising Tide is the second part of that DLC, and that's shooting the release sometime around spring. If I had to take a guess, might drop maybe April, maybe May. They just probably want to have enough, you know, breathing space between, you know, Final Fantasy 7 and then this DLC. That way, you know, the stuff doesn't get too close. But then again, Square Enix dropped so many games last year though, so I wouldn't put it past them. They dropped us in back-to-back months with Final Fantasy related content though. But nonetheless though, I'm really looking forward to this DLC. So within this DLC, we're gonna have Clive going through this story and interacting with Leviathan, which is one of the icons that we didn't actually get to see within the main story of Final Fantasy 16. So it's gonna be nice and interesting to see exactly how that portrays. And you know, the developers can kind of talking left and right, giving a little bit of a whisper here and there, like, well, you know what, you know, could this, you know, with him having all the icons powers by the conclusion of this DLC, could it change anything within the main series itself? You know, that could be yet to be seen if we have an alternative ending and stuff like that. Because if you play Final Fantasy 16, got to the very tail end of the game, you know, the ending wasn't necessarily the happiest of all endings though, but it was a satisfying overall story though. But I'll be really curious to see exactly how this DLC will play out and ramifications it could have on the main story. Now, they already came out and said, yeah, outside of this DLC, we're not going to expand anything more within the Final Fantasy universe for 16, like, you know, like how Final Fantasy 10 had 10 and 10-2 and stuff like that. I don't think we're going to get anything with this series. I think they're going to move on over to the next thing though. But nonetheless though, you know, it's going to be great to have some more Final Fantasy 16 content. Now, one of the last, I would say, major releases that are coming out this year from Square Enix that at least personally I'm really hyped about is none other than Visions of Mana. Now, lately within the latest Xbox Developer Direct, they managed to actually tell us that, yeah, this game is shooting for a window frame of summer 2024. So now it's not just an open year, it's going to be in that summertime spot. If I had to take a guess, it might be roughly around June or July that this game might be coming out though. But nonetheless, it's been well over a decade since we had the last mainline entry for the Mana series though. And, you know, coming right off the heels of the remake of Trials of Mana, which is a remake of the third game within the series though, I would say that, you know, there's a lot of good things I loved about that game. And when looking at this one, I'm like, yes, this is what I wanted to see within the Mana series moving forward. Take the engine that you kind of made for Trials of Mana, take it, evolve upon it, add upon it, and then put that into the Visions of Mana, and that's literally what we got within this game. The game seems a lot bigger in terms of the scope and scale in comparison to Trials of Mana though, and there's just a lot of good stuff that they actually showcased off, even some more footage within that Xbox Developer Direct though. But obviously we know this is coming out for, you know, the PlayStation systems, the Xbox systems. Interestingly enough, we don't have Nintendo confirmed just yet though, but if a Nintendo Switch 2 were to come out, or Nintendo's next generation console, I feel like this could be one of those games that come out within the first few months of that Nintendo system dropping though. I could easily see that though. But nonetheless though, I'm hyped through the moon for this Visions of Mana game. Come on, Square Enix, just give it to me. So in terms of confirmed releases, this is everything we know of that almost has a hardcore date that we know that is coming out within the year of 2024. Obviously, there's some other games in here I didn't even include in the list that included some other stuff that could be coming out to other consoles or some other ports and stuff like that though. So I'm just kind of brushing those ones aside though. However, there are a few more games I wanted to talk about that are in the works, but we don't know exactly when they could be dropping out. So the first one on the list I have is none other than the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake, because within that one, man, oh man, that game looked absolutely stunning. This game was actually announced back in May of 2021. So, you know, this game has been in development for quite some time now. It's almost been about at least a few years from our knowledge of the game. Obviously, they have to work on this game before they actually announce it to the public, at least at that point, though. So, you know what? I feel like this game has been cooking in the oven for quite some time, though. However, I feel like we could be right around the corner of this game dropping out here fairly soon. The one interesting thing that Square Enix had, which was a really good partnership with Nintendo, is all of these HD 2D remake games, whether it be remakes or new games. Like we had Octopath Traveler 2, you know, Live Alive. We had a lot of good HD 2D games, and you know, Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D seemed to be the next one in the pipeline, though. But it's been a while since we had another HD 2D game to even, you know, just talk about within the Nintendo system, though. And you know what? Lo and behold, if they somehow happen to pull a miracle and actually manage to drop this game out this year, and if the Nintendo Switch 2 were to drop out this year, this could be a game very similar to the first Octopath Traveler, where in that first presentation of all these future games coming out for the Nintendo Switch, Octopath Traveler happened to be one of the games they happened to talk about, though. And you know, in the same avenue, they could do the same thing with the Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D, though. So I wouldn't put it past Square Enix to pull a move like this, though. I'm saying, Square Enix, y'all think you think your audience don't know you, though, but I'm starting to catch on to your little schemes right there, though. But nonetheless, I feel like this one could be I feel like this game could be coming out here fairly soon in the distant horizon. If not in the second half of 2024, it could be as early as the first half of 2025. Now, while we're on the Dragon Quest train right here, though, we're going to go ahead and talk about Dragon Quest 12. Now, obviously, this and the same thing like Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, you know, both these games were announced within May of 2021. Now, obviously, this game is going to take a lot more development time in comparison to, you know, the HD 2D game for Dragon Quest 3, though. Obviously, we know the game has been in development for at least a few years to our knowledge, probably a little bit more than that. And with it being, you know, just the next mainline entry for the Dragon Quest series, though, it's just going to take a lot of time. Like, it took a lot of time for Dragon Quest 11 for it to go through development and release, and I'm thinking the same thing will happen within this one, though. And I would not put it past Square Enix, kind of like with the Dragon Quest 3, where they will probably partner with Nintendo and say, hey, this is one of the biggest, flashiest games that's also going to drop out on the next Nintendo platform as well. Kind of like how they were alluding to us with that with Dragon Quest 11. However, it took a long time since that, what was it, that January presentation thing, all the way up until when the game actually finally dropped. I think it was back in 2019, though, for Dragon Quest 11S. For Echoes of Elusive Age. So, you know what? It could be something similar to that, though. But nonetheless, I wouldn't be expecting this game to come out this year, but could we get an update on the game? You know, who's to say, though? It could be possible. It could be possible. But that's another one I'm still looking forward to. And lastly, this game right here. I know everybody and their mama, especially if you're a fan of Disney and Square Enix, you're really looking forward to this. And yes, I am talking about Kingdom Hearts 4. Obviously, this game was announced back in like April of 2022. And, you know, with this game, you know, a lot of people are really looking forward to this, especially after the conclusion of just going through, you know, Kingdom Hearts 3, as well as the Remind DLC and all of that stuff. I know a lot of people are really hyped for it. Me personally, I went through Kingdom Hearts 3. I haven't played the Remind DLC yet, so I still need to, you know, go through that at some point, though. But I mean, but the Kingdom Hearts series overall, I still think it's a pretty good series. My personal favorites is obviously Kingdom Hearts 2 and Birth by Sleep. Those were some of the peak moments, at least with me, with Kingdom Hearts, though. I feel like there's a lot of things you can do within Kingdom Hearts 4. Obviously, we only have a very small snippet. It's almost on the, you know, on the same parallel as Metroid Prime 4 in terms of like that bit of small little teaser footage, at least for, you know, Kingdom Hearts, though. So we don't have really too much to go off of, though. Now, out of everything I mentioned on this list, this is probably the one that's least likely to show up at all this year. I'm not really expecting any updates or any news things with this game. I feel like at the earliest, it will probably be late of 2025 when we see any kind of news updates on that, though. But outside of that, don't really go through and expect too much out of this series, though. But nonetheless, though, I'm still curious to see how, you know, Kingdom Hearts 4 will happen to turn out once the development has been caught up and they manage to get through this game in terms of, you know, development and everything else they want to add up in this game to the point where they feel comfortable with everything, where they can just show it out to the audience and get people hyped, though. But Square Enix, please do not show this game like 2 years out early. If you're going to show this game, it better be like 1 year from releasing. I'm just saying. just do the right thing. So that about does it in terms of everything that I feel like Square Enix is currently going through and working on, whether it been confirmed dates for games such as, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, that's literally right around the corner, a little less than a month away, or games such as like Visions of Mana, where we kind of know window frame of summer. Those are all the games I wanted to go through and talk about, including some to be announced titles like the Dragon Quest games and Kingdom Hearts 4 though. But you gotta let me know down in the comment section down below, what all do you think about all the future projects that Square Enix is working on, including some ones that I just didn't even have the time to go through and mention to y'all. Obviously you have some stuff such as like Final Fantasy 14 and its expansions and stuff like that. Obviously with that being an ongoing game, they're always going to add some more stuff up to the game though. But y'all gotta let me know in the comment section down below, what are you hyped for, what all you're disappointed on, if you happen to play one of these games already in the distant future. You just gotta let me know though. But that's gonna basically do it in terms of today's video though. So if you really like this, make sure you're gonna hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember y'all, until what video I make next, see y'all.